Laura had always believed that justice was a straight path. She grew up hearing from her father, a respected police chief, that right and wrong never mix. When she passed the judge's exam, she felt honored. At just 32, she was admired for her firmness and impartiality. Always detached from emotions, Laura had learned to separate heart from reason. To her, the law was the only truth, until the case that would change her life. It was a cloudy afternoon when she received the file. Qualified homicide. Victim, Gustavo Mello, a well-known businessman. Defendant, Rafael Andrade, 36 years old, former employee of the victim's company. Everything seemed clear. Motive, opportunity, witnesses. Laura read the pages carefully. There was a history of arguments between Rafael and his boss. Security cameras showed Rafael leaving the building shortly before the body was found. He denied everything, said he was being used as a scapegoat, but there was no alibi, no evidence of innocence, only his word. Laura saw him for the first time at the preliminary hearing. Rafael walked in handcuffed, head down, eyes hardened. He didn't seem aggressive. He seemed tired. When he looked at the judge, their eyes met for a second. Laura felt something she couldn't name. During the trial, Rafael remained silent. He listened, breathed deeply. When asked if he had anything to say, he simply said, "I didn't kill anyone. And you know that." The words echoed through the courtroom, and inside her, but the records were cold, the prosecution was sharp, the defense was weak and disorganized. In the end, Laura followed what she had been taught, judge by the facts, not by instinct. She sentenced Rafael to life in prison. The verdict landed like a weight on her soul. Months later, Laura tried to move on, but Rafael wouldn't leave her thoughts. Sometimes she dreamed about him. Other times, she found herself rereading the case. Until one random night, while watching an investigative news program, a report caught her attention. An anonymous tip claimed that Gustavo Mello's case had been manipulated. A police officer involved in the investigation had planted false evidence, and the key witness had been paid to lie. Laura froze. It was the same case. The next day, she reopened the files. She searched for the officer in charge. He was an old acquaintance of her father. She went to him, demanded answers. He hesitated, avoided the topic, but something was wrong. Determined, Laura started her own investigation. She spoke with former employees of the company, accessed old security footage that hadn't been included in the case, and then the truth began to surface. On the night of the crime, Rafael had left before the time of death. A supermarket camera captured him miles away at the exact time. The footage had been ignored. Laura felt the ground disappear beneath her. She had sentenced an innocent man. She decided to go to the prison. Requested a meeting with Rafael. He entered the room in handcuffs, his gaze cold. "Why now?" he asked. For the first time, Laura lowered her head. "Because I was wrong, and you deserve to hear it from me." Rafael stared at her for long seconds. The silence between them was heavy. "I lost everything, Mom. My son, my mother, my dignity." Laura's eyes welled with tears. "I'm going to reopen the case, and I'll prove your innocence, even if it destroys my career." Rafael let out a deep breath. For the first time, she saw something different in his eyes, a trace of hope. The judge moved mountains. She faced senior judges, influential prosecutors, the media. She was threatened, called unstable, but she pressed on, and she succeeded. Rafael was acquitted after 2 years of renewed investigation. The real witness confessed. The corrupt officer was arrested. On the day of his release, Laura was there, waiting. Rafael walked out with slow steps. The sun shone on his face. He looked at her. "Why?" "Because I needed to be free too." He smiled for the first time. Their lives would change forever. It wasn't immediate, but the meetings became frequent. First out, Of necessity, then by choice, Raphael relearned how to live. Laura relearned how to feel, and there, in the middle of the chaos, something unexpected emerged. Love. Not the perfect love from the movies, but the kind of love built in the depths of pain, two worlds that should have never touched. But when they collided, they found the deepest truth. Sometimes justice begins when we have the courage to admit we were wrong, and that no one is beyond forgiveness.